What's up, Jets fans, and welcome to the very first special draft reaction show by your favorite JetNation hosts for day one, round one of the 2023 NFL Draft. Yours truly, Dylan Terraman and Glenn Naughton. We're here to break it all down, give you your live reactions. As of right now, this moment, the Tennessee Titans pick is in at number 11, so we have just a bit of a wait to go, but we're going to break down every pick leading up to the Jets, some picks that have already happened as we await this 15th pick, possibly the 15th pick. I shouldn't say that just yet. They could maneuver however they want. Glenn, how we doing tonight? We finally made it. We're here at the draft.
Absolutely. Already some wild stuff. Some not so great developments if you are the New York Jets, if we are to believe what's being reported. Um, you and I earlier were we joined Scott Mason and Luke Grant on their show. He talked about how I believe it says Walter Sharpinski, who apparently nailed three of the Jets picks last year. Scott tells us that Walter told them they were taking Sauce. He told them they were taking Jermaine Johnson. Told them they were taking Garrett Wilson. He was right on all of them. So he's got some street cred, and his version of events, differed from the Jets beat, which was that the Jets were targeting Darnell Wright with their 15th pick. They thought, if he was there, he was the guy they were going to get. They obviously, anyone looking for a tackle was going to love Paris Johnson. So the Jets reportedly wanted one of those two, or again wanted Wright, figuring Johnson wouldn't be there, and now Wright goes and he's gone. So let's get this Titan selection here.
And the Titans pick is in. I don't know if you can see it. I think I'm a little bit ahead of you. We
Yeah,
discussed off
you can
air.
say it once
The
it's once.
pick is Peter Skoronsky, tackle
Oh,
Northwestern.
and there it goes. So the
So
guy that you thought, well, if he falls, I think that's the Jets' top tack. Well, Broderick Jones maybe at 15.
sure,
Um, but man, I
my
mocked
top
Skoronski.
tackle.
Yeah, a lot of people's top guy. I mocked him the mock I did a couple weeks ago. What I think I did three. I think I did two or three with you and one on my own.
Mm-hmm.
The one I did on my own, I had Skoronski going to the Jets, and the most recent one, JSN, who was still on the board, but I think will go to the Packers with the 13th pick. I forget who had the 13th pick before they got it from, but anyway, yeah, I think pick 13 we're gonna see JSN go, who should be. Man, they should have gotten him. But anyway, there's another big tackle gone that the Jets would have liked. Um, we've talked. The only thing that worries me is, are you getting a less prepared, sort of a more raw tackle with DeJuan Jones, if that is in fact the direction the Jets go at 15.
Yeah, exactly. And I just pulled it up as you were talking there. This is the current draft as it's slated so far. I'm trying to keep track on a spreadsheet here. So obviously, you see three offensive tackles, and like you mentioned, we were on Scott Mason and his podcast with Luke Ramp just before the draft kicked off, and you guys were all pretty much in unison that the offensive tackles were going to be gone, and it was going to be pretty scarce by the time it got to the Jets pick at 15. And I'm clearly wrong about this. I thought that at least two were still going to be there for some reason. Obviously, I think Christian Gonzalez was a pick that I thought would have been made earlier. The sneaky Nolan Smith was another guy that I thought could have snuck up there and been taken to bump down one of those offensive tackles, but clearly that's not the case. And you have three picks, up until the Jets pick. Right now, you have Detroit, Green Bay, and New England, and it's possible that any of those teams could snipe Broderick Jones from the New York Jets, and then that leaves them with Anton Harrison as offensive tackle 5, or do they look somewhere else?
Or
And
Bergeron or Freeland, you don't know how they have it. Somebody said earlier,
exactly,
I forget, I believe it was on NFL Network. I was bouncing all over the place. But somebody said Bergeron was a guy who could sneak into the first round, and I like Bergeron and Freeland. I think they can both play both sides.
mm-hmm.
Both experienced guys. And something from Rap Sheet here. I don't know what it is, but the Lions pick is in, so we're just a couple
Yep,
picks away, folks.
yep, exactly. The Lions pick is in.
Do the Lions need? Would they take a receiver? I
I
think
think this should be corner. If I'm
they
just predicting, Oh
Yeah.
my.
Do they go Levis? I'm thinking maybe
They
Levis.
they threw the ultimate curveball. They took running back Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama.
Wow.
So they were
That's good for
bold
the
2
Jets.
years back to back with Crimson Tide playmakers, explosive playmakers. They took
Yep.
Jamison Williams last year at, I believe, 9 or 12, and then they
Yep.
come back and take Jahmyr Gibbs here at 12. So that's an amazing pickup for them.
That
Wow.
is.
So
We
definitely
thought
one
we
we
were
didn't see.
contemplating him at 42 the other day, 43. Now he's gone at 12.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is a player that we didn't expect that is now bumping an offensive tackle down the board. So we have
Yep.
Green Bay on the clock. Obviously, the Jets would have been on the clock here at this pick. So let's see what they do. I think this is either Dalton Kincaid or Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then the wild card is next at the Patriots. And I think they can really do anything. They took a guy from Chattanooga last year,
What's
so or
what's
two.
what's their I was gonna say, what's their tackle situation? I've been so
I
immersed
want
in
to
the
say
Jets, I
it's.
haven't been paying much
I think they
attention.
let Isaiah Wynn go.
I was
Here, I'll
gonna
look it
say,
up.
didn't Win bust out and they moved on?
Yeah, and I was a pretty big fan of Wynn coming into the season,
Yeah,
and
short
he
arms,
just
but I
didn't
thought he
do
was gonna
it.
be a good player, yeah.
Let's see. Okay, Our Lads has their left tackle as Trent Brown, and their right tackle as Riley Reef. I think that's this year's pickup because he doesn't have a number assigned to him yet. But then
Yeah,
their swing tackle is Connor McDermott. So that's a very likely offensive tackle spot.
yeah. We'll see. So let's are they okay, the pick's not in yet. But yeah, so this is where the Jets would be picking, obviously.
Yeah,
Um I'm a little I'm just imagining this playing out that they take JSN and then the Patriots take Broderick Jones and then I mean I go to Jordan Addison at that point. Um
100%.
one guy that listen, we haven't really talked about and Eddie Mills says hopefully we get a tackle. We're thinking the same thing, Eddie. I mean JSN's my preferred guy, but tackle would be my next choice, but we got to see
Yep.
who goes ahead of them here. But a guy we haven't really talked about and I hate saying I heard someone compared to this player because people go, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're comparing that guy." And this person wasn't either. They were saying more like the measurables. And
Mhm.
just I heard the name and I thought, I wonder if Robert Saleh feels that way. Because if he does, then this guy's in play at 15. Well, 13 back then. But this was a few weeks ago. Here's the problem. I'm listening to like 4 different draft pods right now. I forget who says what. But this is one of,
Right.
they all have like a former GM or a former scout. And they said, looking at just from a measurable standpoint, they said of this draft class, the closest thing to a Bosa brother is Lucas Van Ness. And I thought to
Yeah,
myself, as soon as he said
he
that,
did
I'm like,
mention that.
Robert Saleh had a Bosa brother, and he liked that. If he shares that view, and Lucas Van Ness is on the board, does he say, "Look, man, get me this guy"? And
Yeah.
especially if Broderick Jones is gone.
My
Um,
my only pushback to that exact thing about him is I can see it from like a strength and a power perspective that Lucas Van Ness could be viewed as that, but
right.
I don't know. You look at Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa, even despite all the injuries, when they're at the top of their pass rush, like their ankle flexion at the top of it's just silly. And I don't think
Uh,
Lucas Van Ness has
That
that,
that's what
but
I mean,
I
and I think he
understand
was I think he was saying more like just like the power, the ability to
exactly.
just
Yeah.
drive
So
guys
from
back in the
that,
pocket. He
yeah,
wasn't that he said they were he was the closest thing to him,
exactly.
and
And
I
that's
think he said he's like, I'm
yeah.
not saying it's a Bosa brother, but if you look at this class, he's the closest thing to a Bosa brother.
And that's the problem with comps is when you don't have the entire context like you just added to it. You see Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa and Lucas Van Ness and everybody starts freaking out. Like, no, like we understand that certain aspects of people's games can be pulled from different players from that position. So yeah, I
Yep.
understand it from that perspective. I'm not personally high on Van Ness, so I'm not like thrilled if they take him, but they need edge rusher, and we've talked about scenarios outside of offensive tackle, and now we're almost at the point where we are living the dream of not taking an offensive tackle because there just aren't any that they might value. I know they took Anton Harrison in a top 30 visit. They brought him in on a private, so who knows what their actual interest level in him is. Maybe he was like their failsafe if things went really bad, and it's looking like things are going really bad from an offensive
You know,
tackle perspective.
we've
What's
talked
up?
about this. We've talked about this from a football perspective. I wouldn't mind. but from a time perspective, it might not be ideal. They're going to trade back to like 22 right now. Um, and we're gonna. I mean, I'm happy to sit and talk through the picks and all that, but
For
I,
sure.
I want the damn pick. I want, but if they move back, we talked about this. If you're the Jets and you're looking at trading back from 15, how far are you willing to go? What's the farthest you would move back?
What is it? 23 with here. Let me pull up this again. We'll pull the draft board up
I kind
again.
of think I feel like
Minnesota at
21 for me.
23.
For
I'd
me,
say Minnesota.
21 with
Okay.
San Diego, I think is 21, right?
Yeah, the Chargers are 21,
But I
and
mean,
then
look,
Baltimore 22, Minnesota 23.
yeah, I mean, look, if I'll go 21, I mean, if the value is right, you make a deal. But
Hmm.
man, I feel like looking at what's on the board, like I want to be 2021. But would if you can move back, okay, so Green Bay's pick is in.
Yep, Green Bay's pick is in. They haven't announced it yet. I see Rap Sheet on the TV.
Yeah. I yeah, I I just want to keep
genuinely
my
think
cool. I don't want to be over the top or anything if it's Jackson Smith and Jigba.
yeah,
And listen,
but
even if he's on the board, that doesn't mean the Jets are taking him. But
100%, yeah.
I just know that's who I
Here
wanted
it is,
to
Packers
get to 15.
selection. Here comes Commissioner Goodell. Like you said, I don't want to play the sound. I don't want to get taken off YouTube for.
Yeah.
Wow, here you go. Just speak of the devil. Lucas Van Ness,
All
edge
right.
rusher from Iowa. This is a player that fits the Packers scheme. I was actually talking to my buddy Kevin, longtime Packers fan. I've been friends with him for almost 20 years, and we were talking about edge rushers specifically. He and I both thought Myles Murphy, but Lucas Van Ness is of that same type of mold, a big, I guess, a 3-4 D end in their system because they kind of play with two stand-up pass rushers.
Right.
So maybe they transfer a little bit more into a 4-3. I'm not exactly sure, but Lucas Van Ness is definitely something that I thought that they would covet. So definitely a good pick for them. We have now, no matter what, we have the option of a wide receiver that you and I both like, Jackson
Yeah.
Smith and Jigba, or Jordan Addison. Not necessarily sure that that's their thinking, but
Right.
they're
Yeah,
both
I
there.
think the thinking is
And
still, I
Broderick
would
Jones is
imagine,
there.
tackle.
So we have
That's what I
either
mean.
Broderick Jones or Jackson
Or
Smith and Jigba. So
yes. Yes.
so it's
Exactly.
looking pretty nice.
And there are
Obviously,
a fair number of people that mocked Broderick Jones. I think Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock, if I'm not mistaken, had the Jets taking Broderick Jones.
the Jets taking him, not the Patriots.
Right. I
Okay,
think.
good. Okay, good. No, I'm not pushing back. I was just asking because I wanted to make sure that
Yeah, I'm going
we
off the
didn't
top of my
have him
head
going
though.
to
I
the Patriots.
I, I, I could be wrong. It's like I said, I'm off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I told you I haven't read any mocks lately because I've been trying to stay away from the smoke screens, and I feel like this mock draft the
Here we
last
go.
week is
I'll tell
all a
you
lot
who
of
he
smoke.
mocked. Oh no, sorry. He mocked Skoronski to the Jets at
Wow.
15
Okay.
with Van Ness.
Oh, Patriots trade. This
Uh-oh.
sucks.
Somebody
The
jumped up to get.
Steelers.
Oh, who was it?
The Steelers might take an offensive tackle
Somebody
here.
said the other day the Steelers might move up to grab a tackle.
Shit. That's
Uh-oh.
not good. If that's true, then the Jets hopefully are all in on
Because I made the
Jackson Smith
point.
and Jigba.
I remember it was Pittsburgh. I saw the article. Steelers looking to trade up for a tackle, and selfishly thought to myself, "Well, just trade with the Jets. Like, don't jump in front of them. Trade for their
Right.
pick. Like, I want more capital." Um. Oh man. So the Patriots get to add picks and screw the Jets at the same time.
Potentially, yeah. And we thought that the Patriots sticking and picking was going to screw the Jets.
Now I
But
wonder.
Bill
Now,
Belichick had a different
if
card up his sleeve.
listen, if the Jets were that high in DeJuan Jones, you got to believe the Jets are on the phone right now looking to move down and say, "Look, we just got lead."
What if the Steelers take DeJuan Jones? They're into like the bigger.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I mean.
Sure, yes.
I'm saying that the Jets might be on the phone right now saying, "Look, we're about to get our guy taken. What can we get to move down?"
Right.
Or they might take Jackson Smith and Jigba. Dude,
Just keep putting it out there. Just good
I
vibes
gotta.
out there.
I
It'll
have to.
happen. Yeah, if they get Jackson
I
Smith and
don't
Jigba,
like when people do crazy over the top stuff on their reactions to try to go viral and stuff. I'm not going to do anything like that.
no, we don't
But
have to. We can
I'm
be
gonna have a
normal.
hard time not doing some
Standing up, freaking
celebrating.
out.
Yeah, actually, dude, shut the door. I'm probably being way too loud and gonna wake my family up. Just told my son to shut the door because I might scream and wake people up.
Hey, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right. So at least on my clock, I'm about 20 seconds behind you.
I believe
2:40.
so. They don't
Yep.
have a running clock on the thing, but the pick is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, I see it in the back. 9:50. It looks like for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the pick is in already. So
All right.
let's see. I have a feeling this is going to be offensive tackle, but then again,
Why else would you jump the Jets?
exactly. Yeah, unless they know that the Jets are targeting someone specific, but who would that person be? It's
Hang
so
on, hang on.
tough. Let me pull up a list of their visits again and see what we can. Maybe it's Anton Harrison potentially. The Jets brought him in for a visit.
Hang on 1 second.
Sure.
We're getting some speculation here from Daniel Jeremiah on why they traded up. Okay, I missed the name, but he said somebody in the Steelers organization is very tight with someone with the Jets. And if anybody would know what the Jets were doing, it would be that guy. So this could be them. I mean, they're clearly jumping the Jets to take what they think the Jets are going to take.
Of course, yeah.
And everyone in the world outside of me and a few other people think it's going to be, or, we want it to be JSN, but I think we all think it's going to be tackle.
And the entire
So
Steelers.
the thing is, if it's DeJuan Jones here, I'm not upset because if you take JSN next and then you grab one of the other tackles later on, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I mean, that's my preference.
According to our lads, the entire offensive tackle depth chart for the Steelers is Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle, Chuka Okorafor at right tackle, and the Raven Clark as their swing tackle. So,
okay,
all signs point to selections coming
Steelers
in. Commissioners walking to the podium.
What are who are the tackles left? DeJuan Jones, right? Harrison's there. DeJuan Jones is there,
and Broderick.
Here we go. Hang on, you'll have it in a second.
Yep, Steelers selection. Broderick Jones, tackle Georgia. Pittsburgh Steelers.
It had to be. It had to be.
Yep, it had to be.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, right? Douglas. It's gotta be.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I'm a little hurt by that one, but
trade down or Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep. I completely agree.
It's the way to go. Let's go. Come on, just get the pick in. Now,
yep.
Man. I got to settle down a little bit.
This is going to set up for everything that they do. Obviously, 43 and then a big gap till 112. So this is going to be telling because if they don't take an offensive tackle here, which it's Anton Harrison, in my opinion, are kind of bust. Like, do they not going to be John Michael Schmitz?
I think Anton Harrison, both those guys are reaches at this point. I think
so too. This is the tier drop off of offensive tackle at this point where I start to look elsewhere. I mean,
Jackson, it's trade down to Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep. I mean, we've talked about Kalijah Cansey ad nauseum about his outlier.
Call it in, send up the card, trade Jackson Smith and Jigba, one of those two.
Seriously.
Trade down or JSN.
Yep.
Make
Kalijah Cansey we talked about as an outlier, but we're not exactly sure how.
I want to trade down or JSN. I mean, we've talked. I would be absolutely fine with Kalijah Cansey, but this is the scenario. To me, wanting JSN, him being my preferred guy, this was the dream scenario that the Jets either have to take him or move down. I mean, obviously they could take a Cansey or somebody like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to the full 15 minutes with the Jets trying to trade down. And if they don't trade down, I would expect JSN. Yeah.
I don't hate that at all. I mean, both our playmakers are there. I mean, if they go defense, I know I've been kind of pushing back against you with Brian Branch a little bit, but when we talked about having a day one starter that's a 3-down player, obviously maybe this isn't the value to take him at 15, but if you could trade down a couple spots and still grab him, maybe it's worth it. But I don't know. It's tough because you find a player that's really good on the board and they're like a backup or like a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 at best. And, it's not the starter role that you want. But obviously, wide receiver is one of those exceptions because you play 3 of them at a time. So
that's the thing with wideouts nowadays. Everybody's in 3 wide. It's not what it used to be.
Which is why I'm not an advocate for tight end in this position, because you have Conklin, you have Uzama. So like now you're running a lot of 12 personnel, and Mecole Hardman's obviously going to be off the field at that point, and you would just have Garrett, Lazard, Conklin maybe up against the line of scrimmage, and then.
Well, they're live in the Jets war room, and nobody's on the phone.
Nope, I'm at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So usually when the picks go this long, that they're trying to facilitate something.
And other times it is the lieutenants making the phone calls, and they'll yell back to the GM, here's the offer we got.
Right.
Because you could be working with multiple teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to trade this pick. They are 100% trying to trade this pick.
Yeah, I'm going to listen in real quick and see what they're saying. Can you hear my television?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Daniel Jeremiah's best available. Dalton Kincaid, Christian Gonzalez, Will Levis, Nolan Smith. See, Nolan Smith. How would you feel if it?
Jeremiah mocked him in his version 2. I think he mocked him. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah,
it would surprise me.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't hate it.
I was gonna say I'm pretty much in that exact same bucket. It would surprise the hell out of me. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't jump out of my chair.
They're trading. I mean,
I'm
just predicting. I'm not saying that. I didn't want you to think I got breaking news and
No, that's fine. I'm at 3 minutes and 38 seconds, so they're probably trading out of this pick or trying like hell to.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Which is exciting.
I have to explain to my son. My 9-year-old son asked me to get him up at 1 a.m. to watch his first draft. We want
Look at this dedication.
We want a trade, or we want Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay, I'll explain to you later. All right.
Give him the easiest name to pronounce.
Yeah, exactly. What if they take out Abouori later? If they take out Abouori later.
Yeah, give them those to read over and try to. Oh,
exactly.
3 minutes and counting. So, yeah, I mean, there's got to be a trade down at this point. If they stick and pick, we've said our guesses at this point. I mean, there's no sleepers. I mean, there are a couple sleepers, but it's exciting. I mean,
we're under 3 minutes, dude. We're at 2.5 minutes.
Last year, I felt like picking at 4 and 10, the picks were obviously much easier to predict and get accurate. But now this year's really tough with the move back to 2 spots. We saw what happened. Obviously, one player that we really liked, or I really liked, and a player that was a sneaky connected player to the Jets in Lucas Van Ness. So I think the biggest oddball to me, because at this point I feel like we're going to be talking for another hour before the Jets pick, so we might as well get into it. I think the biggest surprise.
I think this has to be a trade, man. It's got to be. I mean, but I still want JSN. That's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand the need to move down and add picks. But
Robert Sala's on the phone. Joe Douglas is on the phone. Rex Hogan is on the phone. Who's on the phone with the prospect and who's on the phone with the team trying to trade?
That could be talking to a player to tell them they're taking him.
Rex Hogan is kind of smiling a little bit. They're both on the phone, Joe and Robert.
I think
Woody's got his arms crossed like this, so I don't think they're making a pick. I think they're moving back.
I see it now. They gotta be finalizing a deal right here. They gotta be finalizing a deal. There are people clapping, which usually would make me think of.
I haven't seen anybody clapping yet. I see them hugging now.
People in the foreground. Not
I
Douglas.
got you. Yep. Now they're all hugging and shaking hands with each other. They made a pick, I think.
I think they tried to move down, couldn't move down.
Yep, nothing official on the ticker yet, but
JSN, let's go.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? JSN or we riot. 55 seconds.
Or, I mean, I could live with Addison, but I want JSN.
100%. Like I said.
I shouldn't say I can live with Addison. As I said earlier on when we were on Scott's show.
The pick is
I love Addison. Addison's my wide receiver 1. Okay? I just think JSN's a better fit for this scheme or for playing with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
Here we go, though. Here we go. Turn it up. They're not going to kill us for having to turn up for 10 seconds, Dylan.
You got it?
I would turn it down until he's announcing the pick.
Gotcha. But I'm just checking the volume level.
I would say
Gotcha.
once Goodell's walking up to the podium.
Perfect.
So for those of you who don't know why we're doing this, I'm about 20 seconds behind, and we want to get the picks at the same time.
It's funny, you're 5 hours ahead, but 20 seconds behind, all at the same time.
It's like I'm in a DeLorean or something.
Which again, kudos to your kids for being up on a school night to watch this. This is awesome.
Yeah,
my first draft was 2006, so it was DeBrickashaw and Nick Mangold. So I mean, it was
I was watching
draft,
that,
but
I was getting the picks live on NFL.com in Berlin. I was in a World War II trip that went from London to Berlin, and the final night was in Berlin, and that was the first round of the draft. So I left my tour group to find an internet cafe in Berlin and check the picks. All right, what are we doing
That's
here?
awesome.
Pick is in. Let's go. Great trip, too. Great trip. Come on.
It looks nice in Kansas City. I'm not going to lie.
Kansas City's beautiful. And that's 20 years I was out there. I went to a Royals game, had a friend that lived in the area, went and drove around. Actually drove down there from San Antonio, Texas, up to Kansas City for like a weekend and then back to San Antonio. All right, the pick's been in for like 3 minutes now. What's going on?
I know, right? Like this is so
this
confusing.
is the longest. Everyone else, the pick is in and they announce it.
They're letting the clock go all the way down. No, okay, it's 8 minutes and 15 seconds on the next pick, I believe.
Yeah. Could they have traded it? They couldn't have, right? If the pick is in, the pick is in. They didn't trade it.
No, they're showing a weird Jet logo on the screen. That's really.
Oh, you know what it is? It takes a long time to write Jackson Smith.
Wait, why are they showing that Jets logo on the screen and not our team logo on the screen?
I think are they doing like different logos for the draft now? Maybe.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, are they hinting at something? Because I saw Joe Douglas was wearing the plain Jets polo with the plane, and people were hinting at it. And then I looked at this hat that I have hanging.
What the hell is going on? He should be coming out now, right?
All right, here it is. Here's the pig. What's his name? The Make-A-Wish kid is pumping up the crowd now.
Okay.
Both the guys he said in his press conference are gone. Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones. Goodell's saying something, then I'll turn it up.
He's saying he's
introducing the kid.
Yeah. Kid's fired up. I'm surprised. It's cool that they do it. I'm surprised they let them do it for first rounders.
I know it's usually like second and on because of the hype around first rounders.
Yeah, I think it's with Make-A-Wish, you're not gonna push kids to the back of the line,
Yeah, I believe the Giants did it last year with their first round pick, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Okay.
All right, here we go. You can hear it, okay?
Yep.
Cool. Let's go, Kyle. Come on.
With the 15th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State.
Wow.
Completely shocked. I think that's an understatement. That is an understatement to say I am completely shocked.
Good player, but shocking pick.
I was not criticizing people for putting him late in their round one mocks, but at the same time, I couldn't get on board with the amount of edge rushers that I liked ahead of him.
And it was a week or two ago. I didn't think this early. But remember, I said to you, I was like, we haven't talked enough about edge. Like, it's a possibility. But wow. I'm just in shock. Again, very good player. Can play the run well, plays the pass well, bends well, but wow.
Yeah, completely shocked. I mean,
good player.
This is one player that we said there could be a curveball, and this is the curveball.
I think that's the biggest curveball so far.
I think other than
Wow.
Jahmyr Gibbs, and which is what I was about to talk about if we thought the pick was about to be traded, and now
Right.
I think it makes sense that they were trying to trade down because
I think so. Yeah. To take
this
that
pick
long.
to me sounds like they were trying to trade down and they just stuck with a player that they have conviction on
Yep.
regardless of the pick at this point. So, I mean, a little bit of your wish comes true with the Jets taking their best player available on their board, um, despite like what we talked about on Scott and Luke's show. Bad teams draft for need, competing teams draft with a blended approach of need and best player available, and then great teams have the luxury of drafting for best player available every
Yeah.
time. And I
Wow.
think the Jets are kind of trending in that direction where they're just going to take the best player on their individual boards, whether the outside views it like that or not. So
Yeah. I'm I'm just shocked. I'm like I said, I thought what was it? Because of the depth in this class at edge was a couple weeks ago when I said I can't remember if I said it right before we did a mock or something, but I was like I think we're underselling edge. Like we weren't talking a lot about it.
sincerely, yep.
But then I thought, well, maybe you take one at 112, maybe you take one at 42, 43. I really thought this was going to be tackle, which obviously they were gone, but I thought it was going to be tackle or receiver. And it's edge. It's that's yeah, I'm getting
Solid gets his
messages from
wish,
some
right?
yeah,
Solid wants
yeah.
all the edge rushers.
I wonder if it would have been Van Ness. Like Van Ness was my dark horse. Is like a guy that again the Bosa comparison and thought to myself, oh, maybe if the tackles are gone, maybe they take Lucas Van Ness. But Van Ness was gone and the tackles were gone.
All right,
So
so I'm back on
wow.
Twitter now, so I can see a couple picks, and I saw the Commanders pick. They go with another kind of surprise pick, Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi
Really
State.
good player. Six pick
Yeah,
sixes in his career.
over Christian Gonzalez is a little surprising, and Joey Porter Jr. But yeah, and Deontay Banks. But I agree.
Yeah, that is I can't that I'm like I said, I'm just shocked.
Let's see, Bruce Feldman, Jets pick Iowa State edge Will McDonald. Coaches loved him more than the mock drafts did. He's probably the most twitchy guy in the whole D line group. You can't teach that kind of bend. He's very much like Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns. Okay, so when you hear all those things, you think back to I think it was 2 weeks ago we talked about it. Bryce Huff is the only defensive lineman on this team that like has true bend to
Right.
get like at the like what we were talking about with the Bosas to get at the top of your pass rush and really get into that ankle flexion. So
Right.
if that's what they see in Will McDonald and probably what they saw in Jermaine Johnson as well last year,
Right.
I'm all for it. This is a guy I haven't
Yeah.
studied deep, but
But yeah, maybe like I
everybody's
said, he's from what I've seen of him, he is an explosive guy. He will be a presence off the edge. But I didn't see it coming. And
no.
I'm a little shocked. But
All right,
there's
so
the let's see. Um, yeah.
I'm pulling up a report on Will McDonald here. This is from the Badlands Guide, which is run by Connor Rogers of SNY. Somebody wrote, I'm trying to find the author of this exact report, but it says he moves like an NBA player. McDonald has astronomical pass rush upside. While his size doesn't traditionally fit a four-down lineman scheme, McDonald remains an intriguing option if he somehow makes it to day two. That's kind of funny. You can never have too many pass rushers, and I agree with that.
Yeah, that's
I'm trying to find his measurables. Arm length is just under 35 inches. Jesus. 6'4", 239 with just under 35-inch arms. Yeah, okay. So if you got bend, you got length, you got that speed that you can convert speed to power. I think that's a great pickup. I mean, like we said, it's a curveball, so we can nitpick it because it's not how it aligned with us specifically. But
right.
I'm not mad at this. And when we get off and I start doing my deep dive on him, I hope that we find a lot of round one traits hidden inside Will McDonald the fourth from Iowa
Yeah,
State, which actually makes now
absolutely.
three Iowa State players, I think, recently added: Brees Hall, Alan Lazard, and now Will McDonald.
That's wild stuff, man. Did not see that coming at all, obviously.
Yeah.
Um it's again, and what makes it interesting to me, or not even interesting, like the curious part to me And I talked to you about this a couple weeks, or not a couple weeks ago, after the Rodgers trade. And I can't remember if we went in depth on the show on this, but my thought process was, now that Rodgers was here, and I think we did talk about this. I said, when we knew Rodgers was coming, it was one thing. Once he was here and it was a reality, I started rethinking, like, do you now have Aaron Rodgers and say, as we've talked about, you've got to beat Mahomes, you've got to beat, Jackson, you've got Burrow, all these guys you got to get through. Do the Jets say, look, we've got the quarterback, we've got enough weapons to put up points, let's go all in on stopping the other quarterbacks and just go defense? Like, and I still thought, round one would be offense. But I said, do they go tackle a receiver early and then just go pass rusher, DT, safety, and just say, we gotta hold Patrick Mahomes to 24 points in a big game, or 21 points in a big game. And Aaron Rodgers, we believe he has enough to put up 24, 27 against anybody. So it's this to me makes the rest of the draft interesting. Like, does the approach become, we're going to load up on defense, or is this, do they kind of just play to their board and take best player and maybe get some guys? But because the flip side of it is, really, it could work both ways. You can say, we got to beat Mahomes, we got to beat Burrow. Let's just go. Let's put a team together that can score 50, because they're going to score 48 no matter what you do. Like, we're gonna, because everything is slanted toward the offense. So let's take advantage of that and just go heavy offense and give Aaron Rodgers all the targets in the world and march down the field in big games and win. So we'll see. We got more picks, and I really think they tried to move back. Didn't happen. I mean, generally when you're taking that long, but he's another, and someone just 966 RAS, which we know how Joe Douglas feels about his RAS guys.
There you go. I mean, that right there, the arm length, the bend, the upside, it's certainly something I've preached, athletic upside. Now, this is somebody I haven't had enough exposures to. He was a Senior Bowl player, but outside of that, I didn't think that he would fit the mold like that overview said, or read, like I just read it. It didn't seem like he would be a fit for a 4-down lineman scheme. So I kind of pushed him down my priority because I saw him at the Senior Bowl. I liked what he did. But to hear that coaches think he's the twitchiest of the D linemen.
What are the Pats doing here?
Ooh, look at this. AFC East loading up on cornerbacks to try to stop one Mr. Aaron Charles Rodgers. The Patriots take Christian Gonzalez.
Good player in that spot. A lot of people had him as a top 10 player.
Yeah, and that's what, back-to-back corners now. Emmanuel Forbes and then Christian Gonzalez. And now Detroit is up with their organic pick of 18. Will Levis still on the board. So like you said, Will Levis could have slid to the Buccaneers' lap if they want him.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, who's up now? Detroit?
Detroit at 18, yep.
I mean, could they take him? Do they love Goff that much? And they,
you said, look, you got to look to the future sometimes.
They're in a position to take him and let him sit and play Goff. They did all right with him last year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm still in a slight state of shock here.
I know, it's exciting. I mean, I'm excited because it's a player I didn't watch enough, but I'm also sad because it's a player I didn't watch enough. And I guess like Nolan Smith being on the board makes me kind of want to see. I want to know what their process was behind it, not questioning it. I just want to see how they got to that conclusion because, like we said, it's a curveball.
It is. I'm curious. I'm looking up his numbers this year.
Now at what point? I know the Jets only have four picks left. At what point, if at any, do you feel comfortable moving up to take somebody else?
Do you have the ammo? I mean, how do you move up? You start trading next year's picks? What do you have to trade up with?
Sure, that or a player, but yeah, like you said, it's you
because you're not going to have a one. Even if you wanted to trade your one, you can't because you're not going to have it.
Right. And I wonder
probably can't trade your two either because you don't know if you're going to have it.
I was just about to say, I wonder if they could even logistically on paper trade that two because let's say they trade that 2 to move up tonight and Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and doesn't play 65%
Right.
of the snaps, what do they do? So I don't even know if they'd be able to.
I mean,
And then
if that's allowed, you would have to build something in where you say if that happens, then you get a 3 and a 5 or something like that, or you get the 1.
yeah. Yeah, or they get the 1 upright or outright anyway, and then you don't
Yeah.
have a 1 or a 2, and then you have 2 ones
Whichever
this
pick the
year
Packers don't get, you get.
in a class that, I mean, the consensus seemed like it was low compared to at least 2020, 2021, 2022. This seemed like a low class. So maybe he doesn't do it at all, but who knows? They have 43. Maybe they feel like they can sit tight with the board the way it is.
Yep.
There's a handful of good players left, obviously. But other than obviously the Jets being a surprise, what are some other surprises for you? We can get into some of the other draft class to round this out. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a big surprise. Darnell Wright to the Bears at 10 was a big surprise. And then
I thought they'd go off. I thought the Bears might take Skoronski. That was where I thought he would go.
yes, I thought so too.
I
Local
didn't know if
guy,
they'd be interested in Wright,
Northwestern.
but maybe the natural fit, Northwestern being local, but Skoronski to the Bears was kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that felt pretty chalk once you realize people joke about it on their podcast, low moving costs to the NFL. So you could have seen that fit very easily. Obviously, they prefer Wright. I wonder what their tackle situation is. I know they have a guy from Utah that they drafted in the 5th round, but other than that, I'm sure that they need a plug and play right tackle. And like I said, I see him only as a right tackle, but that doesn't mean everybody will and every team will. So who knows what his future is like. But even if he does just play right tackle, Justin Fields can feel pretty safe. So any other picks that are surprising to you? I'll pull up the board again so you can see it.
Yeah, I should have it here at the tracker on NFL.com. I mean, the Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, I did not see that coming. I mean, I'm not knocking it. I just didn't see that coming.
Yep.
Also, Witherspoon, good player, but I thought Gonzalez would go before he would. And that's based more on the mocks and the speculation from the insiders. Witherspoon, obviously a really good player. We've talked about him. I've watched more of him than I have Gonzalez, to be honest. I mean, the biggest surprise to me, even though DJ called it, was the Texans trading up and getting picks 2 and 3.
That was an amazing get by DJ.
Monster stuff right there.
Yeah, to get that trade spot on basically is just insane. And kudos to Arizona, by the way, trading back, getting a 1st and a 3rd, and then a 2nd in this year's draft, and then using their original 2nd, 1 pick later, to move up to 6, get the guy they wanted that Kyler Murray said that he wanted as well. So you make your quarterback happy, and you get a future 1 and a future 3. I'm down for that. So good job.
And
by the
really,
Cardinals.
And I mentioned Devin Witherspoon going. He goes to Seattle to pair with Tariq Woolen.
Oh shit, yeah, he's my best.
I mean, that's
my favorite corner, CB1 by far.
Yeah, and you're pairing him with a guy who was, every bit as good as Sauce last year. I mean, it's splitting hairs when you look at them comparatively. There wasn't really a huge difference. I was honestly surprised he didn't win Rookie of the Year because people just tend to look at stuff like interceptions and that's
right.
it.
Exactly.
It looks like
I filled in the Lions pick, by the way.
The voters went. What's that?
I filled in the Lions pick on screen here, by the way.
Okay, I'm out of there, but let me see.
Oh, okay.
No, because I'm
another curveball.
Oh, really? Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
You filled it in where? Oh, I'm looking at the
at the screen share, at the draft board screen share that I have.
Oh, wow. I mean, well, not to be funny, I almost said he's a Campbell player.
That's what the tweet said that I read.
Yeah, but he's a Campbell player.
Yes.
So
100%.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep. A lot of people wondered if a linebacker would go in round 1 and felt like he would be the guy if somebody did.
Yeah.
Of course, Drew Sanders, possibly Arkansas, another guy who might, but can't knock that pick, man. Really good player, productive player, moved a lot better than people thought he would at the combine, and 3-down linebacker. And Detroit's going to like him.
Yeah, this is an interesting draft because there's tons of potential to move up.
Right.
It does it fit? It's
right. Yeah. That's
I'm just
surprising.
looking at Smith and Jigba, Addison. All these guys right there available.
Mm-hmm.
If one doesn't get taken till like 23, I would consider it. I mean, I don't know how much the difference is to move up 20 spots from like
Right.
43 to 23, but somebody's got to be looking to move out of the first round. You would have to
Right.
think.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. And and teams always want to move up to the bottom of that first round, but the Jets just really aren't in a position to do it.
Yeah.
Um, what else do they have other than they would have to package like 43 and a pick next year to move up to 29,
Yeah.
30, wherever.
And they
Um,
do
and
have a good amount of picks,
and
like
maybe
we've
they do
talked
it.
about. But
Maybe
exactly, it doesn't. And who knows? Maybe they decide that this is the window, and even if Rodgers is here for 2 years, the player that they draft this year is going to be here for 2 years anyway. So might as well just get him in the building now, beef up the roster as best as possible.
yeah,
Obviously, we don't know the exact thinking, and the pick of Will McDonald proves that. I mean, he
right.
was not on my radar at all for the Jets, and
No,
so
like I said, the only edge guy I thought of was Van Ness, at least, in round one anyway. And he's, he plays on the interior a little bit too.
right.
Um,
I
I
was a
just,
big fan of Ojulari if they traded down a little bit. I think 15 was a little too rich for him, but I
right.
mean, who knows? Maybe they had him pretty high on their board too, and for the same reasons of Will McDonald. So maybe if I did watch Will McDonald, it would have ended up being that I liked him more. But yeah, is there anything that you want to add to this? We're gonna get out of here. Obviously, I don't think the Jets will trade up. If they do, we can do another
Yeah,
emergency
we'll
live.
we'll hop back on live if they trade up. But for the
Exactly.
meantime, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do a quick article on the pick.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's the Jets add to the edge. Keep that heavy defensive line rotation going and keeping legs fresh with quality guys. So you can't dislike it. And I'm sure people will say, what does this mean for Lawson? I think Salah made it clear at the owners' meetings that Lawson is staying no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least if he doesn't, Robert Salah didn't have anything to do with it because he wants the guy here. So
Right.
yeah, we'll keep watching, dude, and we'll if they make another pick, we'll hop on here live again
Yep.
and wrap this one up.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, like you said, if anything happens, we'll hop back in tomorrow. We might hop on and do a recap show later on, maybe recap rounds 2 and 3. I know we only have one pick, so excuse me, we might be able to hop in and just do a quick recap as soon as the pick comes down, similar to how we did it tonight. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you, nobody, for spoiling it in the comments. Using Twitter, we tried our best not to, so we could have our most authentic, genuine reaction. So for Glenn, you can follow him on Twitter at AceFan23. Follow his draft account. It's going to be very active. It already has been for non-Jets picks as well. Every pick so far, I believe, has had a video
Not
accompanying it.
not over the
So
past few because I've been getting ready for our thing, but
of course, exactly.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but Jets PICKS, follow that one for sure. Follow me on Twitter at DTerriman and follow JetNation on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, MySpace. We probably have it. So, all right, we'll catch you guys soon and have a safe and fun rest of your draft. Let's go, Jets.